Alright people, we just had the kickoff press conference for Chris Eubank Jr, Conor Benn 2. This is the third press conference we've had, first for this particular event, and like the last two, they have been they've been pay-per-view worthy just to watch, just to see. It's like an episode of the Jeremy Kyle show up there with the amount of shouting and stuff like that that's going on. It was, once again, the Chris Eubank Jr show, obviously. He came in and he actually said to Jamie Ward, who was the interviewer, to go to Conor Benn first. And then we got the Chris Eubank Jr show. So Eubank was not pulling any punches, as he's not really done with any of these press conferences, quite frankly. Straight away, he was going in at Eddie Hearn. He was going in the British Boxing Board. He was going in on Eddie Hearn for basically calling Conor Benn the people's champion in the wake of the fight. I mean, I remember he said it in the ring. And I did myself at the time kind of laugh at that, like sarcastically. It's like, I wouldn't be calling Conor Benn necessarily the people's champion per se. And Eubank has said that his whole career, he's always been the villain. He's always been just the bad guy. And now, without really even trying, to be honest with you, I mean, it was really the first fight. It was really the cancelled fight back in 2022, where public opinion kind of went from Eubank being the villain to him actually being the guy that people can get behind. And that's kind of subsequently how it's turned out to be. He said that he's getting recognised by people, young and old, boxing fans, non-boxing fans. And you can actually see that although for a while he tried to play the villain in his career, and he definitely did try and do that, he likes being liked. You can see that from him. He likes being essentially the good guy. And I think it fits him. Even though like Eddie Hearn was trying to say the mask was coming off and this, that and the other. Listen, we've seen Chris Eubank Jr take digs at just about everyone on there. You know, not just at that event. Remember the press conference for the Bivol Beterbiev, the first fight? We all remember that. Frank Warren definitely remembers it. And funny enough, right, although Eddie and Frank are supposedly on good terms nowadays, there was a moment where Chris Eubank Jr talked about all the stuff that was put in place, the rehydration clause, the weight, the dodgy, morning weigh-in, where there was things going on. I know the ins and outs about that weigh-in. I've heard it on good authority from a member of the team, Eubank. I do, right. So Eddie Hearn was constantly trying to, get at Chris Eubank Jr. And he brought up the fact that he suffered severe dehydration after the fight. And brought up the fact that one of his toes fell off, because I've never heard of that before. Your toe falling off because of dehydration. All right, whatever. But he spoke about the ambulance being deliberately blocked and implying as such that Matthew had something to do with it, right? And Eddie Hearn started, saying, just say you believe Matthew, just say it. And Eubank Jr. basically turned around and said, why, so you can sue me? And Eddie Hearn basically turned around and go, that's a different promoter who does that. I'm like, ooh, that's a dig at all. We know who that's a dig at. But I did find it funny. And listen, Eddie Hearn, of course, Eddie Hearn built his whole reputation on being the more approachable guy in this, that, and the other. But over the last few years, he has become Mr., he's not quite what that other guy is with regards, the lawsuits and suing fighters over the years. But he's not been as white as the driven snow over the last couple of years, certainly not. So Eubank constantly goading Eddie Hearn, constantly taking digs at him, taking jives at him. It was hilarious. It really was. And then he turned his attention to Robert Smith of the British Boxing Board of Control, had a go at him. And listen, he asked a valid question. And I think this is a valid question to ask. Eubank has had fines left, right and centre. Left, right and centre. Where's that money going to? Because the board have fined him. And Conor Benn seemed to imply that some of the money went to him, because when Chris Eubank Jr. was saying Conor Benn treated the loss like a win, he was going out partying, he was at events, he was driving new cars. Conor Benn said, well, yeah, that money was because you got fined. It's like, did you just divulge that you got some of that money, which is not the brightest thing to do? Conor Benn had a couple of, mayors up there on stage. So he did go in on Rob Smith. And listen, Chris Eubank Jr. hit Conor Benn with an egg, right? I personally don't believe he deserved a fine for that. I don't believe he deserved a fine for not hitting the weight, because it's not a world title fight. So for me, it's like, no world title on the line. There shouldn't be a rehydration clause in place. And Terence Crawford's trainer, Bomac, was there. And Chris Eubank Jr. basically said it. And Conor Benn kind of let the cat out of the bag with this in previous interviews. I alluded to that on my post-fight review. Conor Benn spoke about how he respects Terence Crawford. This is not today, this is in recent interviews. But how he respects Terence Crawford going up two weight divisions to 168 pounds, but can't believe he's not looking for rehydration clauses and this, that, and the other. It's like, mate, Terence Crawford's a man, and he's a fair and honest man. He just believes, right, you might be bigger than me, I'm just better than you. I don't need help to win. I'm going to win on my own. And that's what he does. With Conor Benn, you get the impression that, like, for him, this is considered a risk, even though he hasn't fought at welterweight for nearly 4 years now. But we need, this in the contract, this in the contract. And hey, Chris Eubank Jr. signed for it. So, he has to shoulder some of the blame. He says these, things in the contract are not good. Yeah, they're not good. You still signed for them, so you got to shoulder some of the blame on that. But it was interesting. He talked and obviously went in on the board. I did find it funny when Ben Shalom, who we haven't seen much of Ben Shalom over the last couple of months, when Ben Shalom was having a go at Conor Benn, because I think Jamie Ward was told by Turkey Al-Ashid that Eddie Hearn was more famous than Chris Eubank Jr. because he's got a Netflix show. Okay, brilliant. Fury has a Netflix show as well, Tyson Fury. But I did find it funny when Ben Shalom went to Conor Benn. What are you famous for? And Eddie Hearn, no, we're not going there, Ben. I was like, oh, there you go. Yeah, we know what he was alluding to with that one. They were not more well behaved. It has to be said, there was no eggs being thrown. Nigel told the hilarious story where he got his wires crossed on a sauna and shower, where he said that me and Conor got in the shower together. I got a bit like, sauna, dad, sauna. Oh, sorry, sauna. I was like, whoa. I was like, yeah, I was thinking, what's going on there? But he said we got in the shower together. That was hilarious. It was funny. I enjoyed this press conference, as I enjoyed the last two. Obviously, the fight's happening in November. Conor Benn was trying to argue the fact that it should have happened in September, but Chris Eubank Jr. was basically saying, I signed a contract for a rematch. I didn't agree to September. And I love the way Conor Benn goes, can you explain to me what agree is? And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he goes, so you can't. Proceeds to not explain it then. Brilliant. But yeah, he had a few mares, I have to say, Conor Benn up there. But ultimately, it was the Chris Eubank Jr. show. Once Eddie Hearn tried to get a word in, Eddie, which, yeah. I think that Chris Eubank Jr. is one of the few guys who can just, I don't want to say put Eddie Hearn in his place, but maybe get the, because Eddie Hearn kept talking about the mask is coming off and this, that, and the other, and it was like, well, Eddie was kind of really, he wasn't exactly painting himself in glory or covering himself in glory up there either. So I enjoyed it. Long and the short of it, am I interested in this rematch? Yes, I am. Apart from Fury Joshua, which may never happen, right now, currently in the UK, you would have to say this is the biggest fight, which I think it personally is currently in the UK. And yeah, I look forward. November's going to be a stacked month. This is going to be a fun fight. We obviously haven't had an announcement as of yet, unless I'm very much mistaken, on the undercard. The undercard wasn't bad for the last one. All the fights went long, and I like the fact it's in a UK stadium. Tottenham Hotspur has a great atmosphere, and that's a phenomenal atmosphere in that stadium. And because we learned from Saturday, UK stadiums have curfews, so there'll be none of that nonsense of dragging it on and on and on and on and on. None of that. I did enjoy it. It was an interesting watch. Eubank is back with Bomac, back in the UK as well after last time. Hopefully no instances this time, Mr. Bomac. But he is a phenomenal trainer. He's done great work with Terence Crawford. And I thought that Eubank in that Liam Smith rematch looked very good under Bomac. So I think Bomac is going to be looking at that fight thinking, yeah, we can do things here. So that was the press conference in a nutshell. I knew this would be entertaining. I knew this would have high levels of entertainment, which it did. So I was still kind of waiting to see, would he do something with the A again? He didn't do it this time. Obviously, they are taking precautions. But yeah, the Eubank saying that, it's this, it's that, it's the bloody toe falling off, dehydration, rehydration, the fines, everything. I always go back to it, right? And I have to say it, right? Conor Benn is someone who's failed two valid tests, right? He's done that, and and he dragged the board's name through the mud, and literally nothing happens. Whereas Eubank Jr. has had to make a weight. He's had to make a rehydration clause, and he's had to make a weight for a fight that's a non-title fight. You have non-title fights up and down the country every week, and if it's at middleweight, they're weighing in 162, 163 pounds. There's no issues. I just think Eubank has been hard done by a bit, certainly by the board. And he made a very good point. Where does that money go? Where does it go? Because we don't know. So yeah, a few things there Eubank said that, they definitely resonated with me anyway, had me asking questions. But let me know in the comments section what you guys think. Eubank Jr. Conor Benn press conference has got you more hype for the fight. Listen, the last time Chris Eubank Jr. hit Conor Benn with an egg, yeah, you ain't gonna get more hype than that. That had the fight. That was it. That was the fight done. Sold. Done. See you later. This one, it was still good. So let's see. November is still 2 months away. So we got 2 months between now and then. Will we get an actual face-to-face? Because I know Ade was meant to do it last time, and then obviously the egg, and then that went belly up, so it didn't happen. Will we get it this time? I think they're going to rinse the you-know-what out of the promotion for this fight. And I'm looking forward to it. Quite frankly, I am. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video as always, people. If you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Until next time, people, peace and love.